Hey y'all, it's your girl Dr. Beauty, and today I'm coming with the Insecure Season 4 Episode 9 Lowkey Trying Review. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. So the opening scene starts off with Lawrence and Issa just sitting on the couch, and we can see that they've been spending a lot of time together since the last episode. I was really surprised by this because I thought from Issa's stance at the end of the episode, she seemed to be taking this as a one-night stand, but it looks like they're slowly getting back to the way things were. So Issa decides to ask Lawrence whether or not they're exclusive. What are we doing? And Lawrence says, I don't know, what do you want to do? What do you want this to be? So there we go with indecisive Lawrence again. Issa just wants to make sure that Lawrence isn't still messing with Condola, and he says after they talked the last episode, they decided to end things. So I'm curious to know exactly what happened during that conversation and if Lawrence is telling the truth, because we did see some shady behavior from him last time. Then the next scene takes us to Molly having a therapy session with Dr. Rhonda. And Dr. Rhonda is unpacking everything that Molly just told her regarding her argument with Issa and everything she talked about with Vincent. So she asked her a very poignant question, which is, do you want to be right or do you want to be in a relationship? And Molly was just frozen in her tracks. And she followed that question up with, does your relationship with Issa still serve you? So these are questions that Molly really has to spend time with herself to answer and decide whether or not she wants to work for their relationship, because up until this point, it seems like everyone else is the one that reaches out to Molly first to try to fix things. So Issa's back at her place, and she had told Lawrence earlier that she promised Nathan to help him move out of his apartment. And it seemed really strange that Issa was pretty much asking Lawrence for permission to see if he was okay with it. And Lawrence seemed pretty indifferent, but maybe inwardly he actually was worried at the potential of Issa moving on to someone else. And at this moment, Issa is trying to portray this platonic role with Nathan because she doesn't want to mess up what she has butting again with Lawrence, but she's kind of conflicted because she still wants to help Nathan. I think she feels as though she owes him something for his help during the block party. So she is at a crossroads where she's not sure what to do, and she wants to ask someone for advice. That someone would usually be Molly, but they're not talking right now. So first, Issa calls Kelly, and it's so funny because Kelly has not only an English voicemail message, but also a Spanish one, and it's just really evident that even though Kelly's not in this episode, she's still able to provide comedic relief. And then I really thought that it was interesting that Issa didn't try to call Tiffany. Did anyone else think that that was weird? Maybe they're not that close, or maybe she has some issues with her that we don't know about, or feels that she would judge her. So then Issa calls her brother Amal, and he's no help either. He's pretty much just echoing everything that she's saying. So then she finally decides that she should call Molly. But before she actually calls Molly, she has this fantasy of things going wrong when she calls Molly. Basically, she's thinking that she might accidentally start venting and reverting back to old habits. And I think this moment really shows us that Issa does know that in a way she has burdened Molly with situations that she's been in when it comes to her relationship or work, and Molly's always there for her. So she wants to make this about hers and Molly's friendship and not just about her. So then she actually does call Molly, but she gets the voicemail, and Molly does call her back, and they end up meeting for brunch. So Issa's super nervous. She ordered Molly's drink ahead of time, but she doesn't really know how the conversation is going to go because it's probably been so long since they last spoke. It just reminded me of some situations I've had in the past where maybe a friend is trying to tell me something and I would rather not talk about it over food because one, is going to mess up my meal. Two, it just seems superficial. So I think Molly was kind of over it at this point, but just trying to play nice and listen to the advice of her therapist. But Issa really had no idea what to say. And it just goes to show that she thought it was more of a situation where, yeah, me and my friend haven't talked in a while, and now that we've had our space, things will be smooth over. But Molly inwardly wants to dig into what happened at the block party, and not even just the block party, but the distance that they started having before the block party in their friendship. But she doesn't really know how to talk about it and bring that up. So she just goes back to her passive aggressive ways. So is it me, or does Andrew always seem to be on the phone right before Molly enters the room? And he hurriedly just shuts off his phone. It's like, what's going on? Hopefully he's not cheating. Hopefully we'll find out what's really going on. But Andrew kind of just brushes it off, and it's like, hey, how did your brunch with Issa go? And Molly explains to him that she felt like it was superficial because she and Issa didn't actually talk about the root of their issues and the ultimate fight that they had at the block party. So then Andrew talks to Molly about the game that his brother Vincent invited both of them to attend, and Molly's not really feeling it because she's still not over the argument that she had with Vincent back in Mexico. So Andrew kind of looks a little bit hurt because he wants his brother and his girlfriend to get along, potentially looking at a future relationship with Molly. But she's pretty stubborn about this, so he agrees to go on his own with his brother. So I don't know if we're going to get more of a backstory on Issa's assistant. Probably not, since there's just one episode left of the season. But she just reminds me so much of Kelly. She's there for comedic relief. She pulls out some waffles from her purse that she warmed with hand warmers. It's just hilarious. And they're just talking about their next project, and she's just very positive. Even from the block party, we saw how she encouraged Issa throughout her first time experience with this event. So I really do think that this girl could be a potential new friend for Issa. Even though she does have her quirks, she has the same awkwardness that Issa still kind of has. So Issa hits up Lawrence and tries to find out how his job interview went. And Lawrence tells her that it actually went really well. So it seems like Lawrence might actually be going to San Francisco. And I foresee that, let's say Lawrence does get the job, he's probably going to try to convince Issa to go with him to San Francisco, and she's going to have to choose between him and Nate. I don't think she's going to pick up and leave, and I do think that he's going to take the job. But you can tell things are still pretty awkward between them. Like, Issa tries to do that singing thing she usually does where she wants someone else to pick up the rest of the lyrics, and Lawrence kind of just doesn't get it. But we'll see later on that the chemistry is completely different between her and Nate. So I thought it was so funny how Issa was trying to practice how to be chill and buddy-buddy with Nathan and not really too romantic with him. But as soon as she got in the house, things got really awkward really fast. And she eventually had to just tell him, hey, I don't know if this is weird, but I'm still trying to work things out with my ex. And he was like, oh, the one that you cheated on? So he threw major shade. He was obviously hurt that Issa turned down his advances. And she said, at least Lawrence know how to use his words and doesn't just disappear. So Nathan just confessed to Issa that, hey, I didn't actually disappear that time. I actually found out that I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And this really turned things around for Issa because she realized that he was dealing with mental health issues. And I really enjoyed their conversation and the fact that, yes, within many communities, there are so many taboos and stigmas surrounding the topic of mental health. And so Nathan is a really great character to talk about how it affects him and how the signs might not really be there for you or your family members, as he pretty much summed up for Issa. And this is something that Andrew had told Molly on their trip in Mexico, and maybe if she was still talking to Issa, she would have been able to tell her this information sooner. So then we get back to Andrew's place, and Molly brought over some takeout, and Andrew just expresses to Molly how he's really still disappointed that Molly decided not to show up to the game. And he asked her, are you just never going to see my brother and get along with my brother? And this was kind of painful because I really do think that Andrew sees a future with Molly, and there's really no way that he sees himself going forward with Molly if she can't get along with his brother. Even though they have their qualms, he really does look up to his brother and they're close. So it's pretty clear that whoever he ends up with is going to have to get along with his family. And Molly is used to boxing herself in, and she really thinks that she can box Andrew in with her, but she forgets that he has a different relationship with his family, and his family really has to like the girl that he goes forward with. So this might be another issue. I just think their relationship is doomed, to be honest, but we'll see. So Issa and Nathan awkwardly enter during the argument, and they are really put in a weird position where they agree to leave, but Molly and Andrew convince them to stay. So they all decide to share the takeout that Molly got, and they're playing drinking games, and it almost feels like things are back to normal with Molly and Issa. And this could potentially be a dynamic of a double dating situation that they would have if they both made things work with their respective guys. So Molly kind of gives Andrew a sign that she wants him to leave so she can give him a text, but unfortunately Issa receives that text and Molly realizes that she messed up, so Issa decides to just leave. So Molly decides to go out and somewhat chase Issa, not really with too much effort, and Issa's already calling an Uber to leave. And Issa just tells Molly that she feels as though she's the only one who's trying to make their relationship work. But Molly lets her know that she actually wanted to talk about the issues they were having even before the block party. And Molly says, maybe who you are now and who I am don't fit anymore. So I don't know if you guys remember the picture that Lawrence and Issa had in the last episode where they were standing in front of the lights at the art show, and Lawrence was standing in front of the color red and Issa was in front of the color blue. And this time Molly's wearing blue and Issa's wearing red. So to me, I felt as though it was hot and cold temperature, right? Passionate versus non-passionate. It seems as though before Lawrence was more passionate about Issa and him getting back together than Issa was, and now it seems that Molly is less passionate about getting back to the way things were with Issa. So that's how I interpreted it. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought. So Issa kind of just stands there for a second and she takes it all in and realizes that all her efforts have been wasted, and she gets back in her Uber while Molly just watches her go. This was cold. She was rightfully dressed in blue. And this is really how the episode closes out. So what did you guys think about this episode? Do you think that Molly did the right thing, or do you think Issa did the right thing? Personally, I think they both have work to do, and it might even be great if both of them could go to therapy together, if their friendship meant that much to them, because there are several issues that Molly kept quiet about for a long time, whereas Issa thought that the only issue they had was at the block party. So there's already a major disconnect there. And what do you think is going on with Andrew? Do you think he's cheating on Molly? Do you think he's talking to his family? Like, who does he keep talking to and quickly getting off the phone with when Molly enters the room? So on the next episode, it seems as though Issa's going to have to choose between both of her men. And that's how the season's going to end. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. And until next time, deuces.